Good evening.
Yes, Chris, can you hear me? How is your paper? How was your MCQs?
It was good, sir.
Okay. And all your exams are over?
No, sir, I have two exams tomorrow.
Okay, fine. We had started with which chapter we had started? Polynomials. Okay, so we had started with definition of polynomials. What a polynomial means. So a polynomial is, firstly, it's an expression, an algebraic expression which has only one variable and powers, and the powers of the variables are whole numbers. Okay, so for example, like this, if you see the power, it has just one variable x, and the power of all the variables are whole numbers. If the power of any one variable is not a whole number, then that will not be a polynomial. Okay. So something like this, if you see, the power of this variable here is a negative, so this is not a polynomial. If you look at this expression here, the power of this variable is root. Now, root means it is a fractional power. Since it has fractional power, this is again not a polynomial. Okay, next you should see types of polynomial. Now we have three types of polynomials for your syllabus, and they are based on the terms. Terms, first if you see, the first type is called monomial. Monomial. Now what is monomial? Have you heard about this term monomial?
Yes, sir.
What it is?
It has one element. I think it has one element in.
Yes, just one element. So an expression, a polynomial with one element. Only is called a monomial. Okay, so polynomial with just one expression or one element is called a monomial. So see, for example, 2x squared. This is a monomial, just one term. Okay, one term. So it's a monomial. Can I say this to be monomial? Is this a monomial?
No, sir.
No, there are two terms. So this is not a monomial. Okay, if you see just 2, is this a monomial?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is a monomial. It has a variable, but a variable you cannot see. We write it as x raised to 0. Okay. Second is binomial. Second, we have binomial. What is a binomial? Now, monomial means one term. Binomial means how many terms? Two terms. Two terms means binomial. So if a polynomial expression has two terms, we call it to be binomial. So for example, 7x cube plus 21x equal to 0. Two terms. The variable can have any power, but whole number. And the last type that you have is trinomial. Trinomial. Okay, now since binomial have two terms, I know trinomial will have how many terms? Three terms. Okay, binomial have two terms, trinomial will have three terms. So something, let's see an example. So 2x squared plus 7x plus 8 equal to 0. This is a trinomial. There are three terms. Okay, I'll remove this. Three terms. Okay, now you tell me, is this a trinomial or not? Firstly, is it a polynomial?
No, sir. It's not a polynomial.
Why it is not a polynomial?
Because it has an irrational.
It has an irrational number, that is fine. But when I said what you have to keep in mind, you have to keep in mind the variables should not have the power of the variables should only be whole numbers. But here this root is not for the variable. No? It's not for the variable. It is just for the number. So is it a polynomial?
Yes.
Yes, it is a polynomial. It is. If you see this root sign, it is for the number. The number can coefficient. Okay, coefficient can have the root sign. But a variable cannot have a root sign. So this is a polynomial and it has three terms, 1, 2, 3. So it is a trinomial, right? Okay, look at this point. This point says polynomials are usually written like this. They are denoted like this: px, q, p of x, q of m, r of y. Meaning of it, see, p of x equal to 2x square plus 4x plus 7. That means the polynomial has variable p. Usually we use polynomial is denoted by, the notation is usually p, and in the bracket we put x, where x is the variable used. If a y variable is used, then we use p of y like this: 2y square plus 4y plus 7. Alternatively, we also use qm to be the to denote a polynomial, or ry to be the polynomial r, and the variable inside this bracket will be the variable that is
QM and RY.
They are just notations. They are just notations for polynomial. They are just notations. But inside the bracket, what variable is there, that variable will be used entirely in the polynomial. But majorly, we just use p. Q and r is just used, rarely we use, but mostly p to denote polynomial. Clear? And inside the bracket, whatever variable is there, that variable is used in your entire polynomial. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next topic is degree of a polynomial. Now, the highest power of the variable in the polynomial is called as the degree of the polynomial. Okay, the highest power of the variable is called as the degree of the polynomial. So for example, let's see. Firstly, is this a polynomial?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is. Which is the highest power of the variable?
X9, sir.
9. 9 is the highest power of the variable 2. So this polynomial have degree 9. Now, tell me the power of degree of this polynomial. What is the degree?
10.
10. So you have to keep one thing in mind. The highest power of the variable in the polynomial is called as a degree of the polynomial. This definition is very important. Okay, I repeat, highest power of the variable in the polynomial is called as a degree of the polynomial. Tell me the degree of this polynomial. Is this a polynomial, firstly?
Yes, sir.
It's a monomial. What is the degree of this polynomial, of this monomial?
0.
0. Why 0? Because this we can write it as x raised to 0, and the highest power is nothing but 0. So the degree is equal to 0. So from here, one thing you have to keep in mind that degree, when there is no variable, we call it as constant polynomial. Okay, when there is no variable, we call it as constant polynomial. Yes, and one thing you have to keep in mind, that degree of a constant polynomial is always 0. The degree of a constant polynomial is always 0. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Keep in mind meaning of constant polynomial. Constant means when there is no variable, just a single number. Okay, that's called as a constant polynomial. Are you sitting with a notebook?
Yes, sir.
Did you write the definition of polynomial in the last class that I had given? Have you written this? Write it
Yes,
down.
sir.
Write it down. Definition of polynomial first.
That in an algebraic expression in the power, that one.
Yes, 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 this one. See on the screen now. Write it down in your notebook.
Done, sir.
Write this point as a note. Powers are whole numbers only. Powers of a polynomial are whole numbers only. Write it as a note.
So could you repeat again?
Powers of a right. Powers of the variable. Powers of the variable are whole numbers only. Okay, powers of the variable are whole numbers only.
Thank you, sir.
Below that, write this example: x cube plus 2x square plus 3x plus 4 equal to 0. Example 1, right?
Done, sir.
After that, write the second example. Example 2. 2x raised to 4 plus 4x square plus 7x raised to minus 3 is equal to 0. And below this example, write this is not a polynomial because the power is a negative number. Power of x is minus 3, which is negative. Below this example, right? This is not a polynomial because the power of x is minus 3, which is negative, and not a whole number. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After that, write example 3, this one. Root x plus 2 equal to 0. Root x plus 2 equal to 0. And below that, in the next bill, exactly below this, write the second one. Root x means x raised to half. So x raised to half plus 2 equal to 0. And after that example, write this is not a polynomial because the power is a fraction. This is not a polynomial because the power is a fraction.
Done, sir.
After that, just write types of polynomials. Put the heading types of polynomial. Under that heading, write first monomial. And the definition, write a polynomial with one term only. Monomial, right? A polynomial with one term only. Then second, write binomial. And for binomial, write a polynomial with two terms. Okay, wait. Under monomial, example also write. I write an example. 7, 2x. This example, right? Under binomial, write this one example. A polynomial with two terms is called a binomial. And then lastly, trinomial. So a polynomial with three terms is called a trinomial. And then you can write down that example of trinomial.
So what about polynomials which are more than 3 elements?
More than three, then we just call it poly. Poly means many. So polynomial, just polynomial.
Done, sir.
Did you write the example for trinomial? Then write down this. Polynomial, just this no. Polynomials are written as px, qm, ry according to the variable used. This is the point, right? And write these two examples. You understood this point, right? Well, this px is just notation. Oh, write it down and write the two examples also.
Done, sir.
Now next write this degree of the polynomial definition. And write the three examples.
Done, sir.
Did you write the third example also? And
Yes,
write
sir.
this after the third example, write this note. Degree of a constant polynomial is always 0. I hope you remember what is constant polynomial. No variable. Okay, no variable is called as a constant polynomial.
Done, sir.
Okay, next concept is degree of a polynomial with more than one variable. Now, a polynomial can have more than one variable also. Now, we'll see how does it looks like. The highest sum of powers of variables in each term of the polynomial is the degree of the polynomial. Now, when we have more than one variable, then how do we find out the degree? First of all, you see how a polynomial with more than one variable looks like. So, polynomial, I'm denoting it with P. It has two variables, M and N. So, this is 2m square n raised to 4 plus 4mn square plus 2mn. This is a polynomial in two variables. Now, how do you find out the degree of this polynomial? Now, to find the degree of this polynomial, what you do is you look at the power of both the variable in each term. This is one term, this is in a second, and this is a third term. Now, in this term, m has power 2, n has power 4. If you add them, so what will be the total power? 6. In this term, what is the power of m?
0.
M, power of m.
0.
No. 0 if it is
1,
absent.
1, 1,
Yeah.
1,
1. And power of n, 2. You add them, it will be 3. And in this, what is the power of m?
1.
1. And n,
1.
also 1. You add them, you will get 2. Now you see the highest among this. Which is the highest? 6.
6.
So degree of this polynomial will be 6. Clear? So if you have a polynomial with more than one variable, then degree of that polynomial will be sum of the powers or sum of the degrees of both the variables. So you just look at the power of both the variables and add it in all the terms, and you see which is the greatest. The greatest will be the degree. So in this degree 6. Understood? Write down the
Yes, sir.
definition and this example.
Done, sir.
Okay, so previously you saw the classification of polynomial or different types of polynomial based on terms. So if there is one term, monomial; if there is two terms, binomial; if there are three terms, then we call it trinomial. Now here we'll see types of polynomial based on degree. Okay, so the first where you wrote types of polynomial, there in the bracket, make sure have you written based on terms. Okay, just make sure if you have written this in the bracket based on terms. Previous one. Types of polynomial in the bracket based on terms.
Done.
Now your new heading will be types of polynomial based on degree. Okay, first understand it. I'll give you time to write. So now what do you mean by based on degree? So based on degree, the first type we call it as linear polynomial. Linear polynomial. Okay, based on degree, the first one is linear polynomial. What do you mean by linear?
Straight. Straight line.
Yes, correct. Linear means something that is straight. But in terms of math, when I say linear, and it is, the meaning is the same, only we have one more addition to it, that the degree will be 1. Okay, it is correct what you said, straight line. But when we talk in math, the degree, okay, if the degree of the polynomial is 1, is 1, then we call it to be linear polynomial. Okay, if the degree of the polynomial is 1, we call it to be linear polynomial. So you can write it like this: degree equal to 1. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
The example, x plus 1. What is the degree of this polynomial? Highest power 1. So it is linear polynomial. Okay. What about this? Just 4. Is it a linear polynomial? Is it a linear polynomial? No, it is not.
Yes.
Why? Because if you write a variable
Because
is
it will be 0.
yes, degree is
Because
0.
degree is 0.
So this is not. But if, what about this? Now is it a linear polynomial?
Yes, sir.
Now we have something that is called as a standard form. That means any linear polynomial will look like this. That is the meaning of standard form. You take any linear polynomial, it should look like this. The standard form is denoted polynomial px is denoted as ax plus b. The standard form of a linear polynomial. Now here, a and b are coefficients. Okay, a and b are coefficients. You remember, right? What are
Could you explain that standard?
standard form means the generally, whenever I say a linear polynomial, it should look like this. Any linear polynomial, it should look like this. Ax plus b. Are you getting it? Any linear polynomial you take, it has to look like this. So for example, first one, if you see, first one, this is a x plus b. So a is 2, b is 1. Now you'll say the second one does not look like this. This second polynomial, it is linear, but it's not looking like this. But you can add it, you can write like this, the 4y plus 0. You see, it looks like this. Even this one looks like this. So a and b are coefficients. But one thing you have to keep in mind, a and b are any coefficient. But a will never be 0. Coefficient a, that means the coefficient of x will never be 0. Except 0, it can be anything else. B can be 0, but a cannot be 0. Getting it? Now have you understood what is standard form?
Yes, sir.
Now write it.
Done, sir.
Okay. The second is called as quadratic polynomial. quadratic polynomial if the degree of the polynomial is 2, then it is called as quadratic polynomial. Okay, if the degree of the polynomial is 2, then it is called as quadratic polynomial. So let's see an example. X square plus 2x plus 3. This is a polynomial. Highest power of the variable is 2. So this is a quadratic polynomial. X square plus 4. Is this a quadratic polynomial?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is a quadratic polynomial. So one thing to keep in mind, the degree. If the degree is 2, then it is a quadratic polynomial. Now again, here also we have a standard form or general form. So the standard form of a quadratic polynomial is ax square plus bx plus c. This is a standard form of a quadratic polynomial. A, B, C are any numbers, are constants or coefficients, you can say. And here also A is never 0, except 0, anything else. It can be anything other than 0. Is this clear? That means any quadratic polynomial will look like this. It will be of this form. So if you see, this is of this form, but this is not exactly in this form, but we can write it in that form.
Yeah, so but first one, how is it AX?
No, there is no coefficient. So no coefficient means 1. No number means 1. Understood? No?
Yes, sir.
When we don't write any variable in front of the coefficient, it is understood that it is 1.
1.
If the this thing is absent, if the term is absent only, then we put 0. Like in this case, like in this second case. Here, if you see in this one, square term is there, but the term with variable with power 1 is absent. So that we can write it as 0x plus 4. Now this is of this form. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, note one thing, that in quadratic polynomial, there are 3 terms. One is the term with variable x square, one with variable x, and last with the variable with no variable. Clear? Have you understood this
Yes, sir.
quadratic polynomial?
Yes.
Okay. Write it down.
Done, sir.
We have the third one now, the third and the last type. It's called as a cubic polynomial. So as the name suggests, cubic, what the degree should be? What the degree should be? Can you tell?
3 and more.
No, just 3, not more, just 3. So if the degree of the polynomial is 3, then it is called as cubic polynomial.
So then what about degrees which are more than 3?
We call them just polynomial.
Oh.
Nth order. It's usually said it as, suppose if it is 4 degrees 4, then we say fourth order polynomial. But you don't have it. If it is 5, we say fifth order. So if it is n, we say nth order polynomial. Okay, so if the degree of the polynomial is 3, then it is called as cubic polynomial. So degree equals 3. Let's see some examples. 2x cube plus 3x square plus x plus 4 equal to 0. So this has highest degree 3. So this is a cubic polynomial. Now here also we have standard form. Now, can you guess how the standard form will look like? See, for linear, it was ax plus b. For quadratic, it was ax square plus bx plus c. So what could it be for cubic? First,
ax cube plus
yeah,
dx square plus cx
x plus d
plus d.
equal to 0. This will be the standard form. And here a, b, c, d are coefficients. Okay, these are coefficients. And again, the same rule here, a is never 0. The coefficient of the cube term will never be 0.
Done, sir.
Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next class. For Thursday.
Bye, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, sir.